Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, May 19th, 2023. And on the front page, it says, "Welcome to the Big Top, Neepawa." The Great Benjamin Circus made an appearance at the Yellowhead Arena in Neepawa on May 14th. That was Mother's Day. Dazzling attendees with a variety of stunning acts and earning plenty of laughs with their humor. Here we have some pictures. This one is of an aerial performance elevated the audience's gaze. This fleet-footed performer shares a charming smile after completing a boomerang-based act. And here we have an impressive 8-ring hula hoop performance. And here we have, here we have performers that shocked the crowd with their collaborative crossbow act. Fun. All right, Neepawa Chamber welcomes new Midway Company by Casper Werhan. Summer-like weather brings summer fun, and contributing to that fun next week is the annual Neepawa and District Chamber of Commerce Annual Chamber Fair. A new Midway company called Select Shows is also involved this year and will be bringing in 14 rides for attendees to enjoy. "We are very excited to have this new and larger company at the fair," said Chamber Board and Fair Committee member Ali Petrepka. "They will have debit machines as well as an ATM and lots of ride and food options for everyone. Select Shows featured attractions are split into 2 categories: kiddie rides and major rides. Among these 2 categories, attendees can look forward to rides such as the Teacups, Merry-Go-Round, Mini Enterprise, and the Kiddie Combo, as well as the Ring of Fire, Starship, Orbiter, Scrambler, and more. The fair will take place from May 26th to the 28th at the Egg Grounds, with the Midway opening at 4 p.m. on Friday and at noon on Saturday and Sunday. That's not all. In addition to the Midway, fairgoers can also look forward to a variety of other attractions, including events such as the Hair of the Dog Social, Pancake Breakfast, Small Animal Fair, Yellowhead Roadrunners Auto Club Show and Shine, and more. The whole weekend will be filled with great events," said Petrepka. "Saturday, we will have a petting zoo and pony rides. And on Sunday, we have a new reptile show coming, which will be fun for kids of all ages." And it goes on to say, the full details and schedule for the Neepawa Chamber Fair can be accessed via the Chamber's social media or in brochures available at businesses throughout Neepawa. An event schedule is also available in the May 12th edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Last week. All events will take place at the Egg Grounds unless otherwise stated in the events schedule. For events such as this, volunteers are a necessity to help it run smoothly and make it a success. The Chamber is grateful to the volunteers who have stepped forward this year. However, some further assistance is still required. We are still needing help on Saturday afternoon to direct parking. After feedback from last year's event, we have decided to create parking spaces at the fairgrounds and also have a shuttle from the Neepawa-Gladstone Co-op Administration Office parking lot. Additionally, we need a few more people to help at the social on Saturday night. So anyone who wishes to get involved are asked to contact the Neepawa Chamber via their social media or by calling the office at 204-476-5292. Local projects receive financial support from Manitoba's BSC program by Owen Devereaux. A number of community projects from around the region are receiving a bit of a financial boost thanks to some provincial funding. The support is through the $25 million Building Sustainable Communities program called BSC, which is distributing funds to 428 development projects throughout Manitoba. For the Agassiz constituency, there are 15 local projects on the list, splitting a combined $308,860. The Neepawa specific projects include the following: Beautiful Plains Museum, Neepawa Museum upgrades at a total of $19,500. The Viscount Cultural Centre, or actually it's called Arts Forward now. Facility upgrades including roof repair, $7,500. Margaret Lawrence Home, building upgrades including furnace replacement, $2,968. Other regional recipients from the BSC program getting significant support of over $20,000 are Plumas Elementary School Parent Advisory Council for playground upgrades, $60,750. Delahunt Golf and Country Club for course and equipment upgrades, $42,321. Norfolk Treeherne Community Development Corporation for digital signage, $37,500. Municipality of North Norfolk for development plans and bylaw updates, $36,750. Gladstone Golf and Country Club for course and equipment upgrades, $31,218. The Rathwell Memorial Hall, Tiger Mountain Pool, Town of Carberry, and RMs of Glenella, Lansdowne, and Rosedale also are receiving support for various projects. In a media release announcing the specific projects receiving support, Agassiz MLA Eileen Clark noted she was pleased to see the variety of local community projects being aided. She said the Building Sustainable Communities Fund will provide $308,860 to many local organizations, providing a much-needed boost to our community's recovery, both economically and socially. I am proud that our government has more than doubled the BSC fund, which makes funding for projects like these possible. We are committed to investing in our communities. Now, at the Roxy Theatre coming up May 19th and 20th in Neepawa, the show will be Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, starting at 7:30. A charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers embark on an epic quest to retrieve a lost relic, but things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. And on May 26th at 7:30 p.m. and May 28th at 2 p.m. is the Super Mario Brothers movie. So that's something to look forward to. I'll come back to that. Now, Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. This week, she features an article about grain elevators. So she says, as a young child, I remember going to town with my dad in his 1-ton truck with a load of grain to the elevator. Slowly driving up the elevator's driveway into the building and getting in the right position over the scales. The agent would tell us kids to either stay in or get out for the weighing of the truck. Whatever we chose was what we had to do for the weighing after the grain was removed. It was rather magical, as with the flip of a lever and the truck box tilted skyward and the little gate in the tailgate was opened and out tumbled the grain. I remember doing that with my dad too. The agent would take several random grain samples for testing the weight and grade. I loved watching all the sparrows and pigeons that flew in and out of the dusty smelling elevator. After that, we got to go into the office for Dad to update his permit book. The elevator agent in his office was at the heart of the community. Farmers would meet there, have coffee, and catch up on local gossip. Who had bought a new tractor, who was selling their land and retiring, what the neighbors' crops looked like, and complain about the government of the day. Dad was a Liberal in a Conservative area, and I am sure the men knew that, as they always talked about how Prime Minister Lester Pearson was not for the West and grain farmers, my dad would just give a little smile. Some fellow would usually give us kids a stick of gum to share. On occasion, if the timing was right, we heard the thumping of the grain cars being moved. Even better was a train giving a loud, piercing whistle while going through on the tracks. The train men always waved back to us. The elevator was an exciting place to visit when you were a little farm kid. Competition between the grain companies saw rows of elevators in most small towns. It was a symbol of my childhood as we passed towns on our way somewhere. As the elevators disappeared, so did many businesses in the towns. There is no more going to the elevator to run a moisture test on a grain sample. Farmers have their own testing equipment. Grain elevators have become a thing of the past, replaced by the mammoth grain handling facilities made of concrete. Farmers nowadays have storage capacity in one farm bin the size of some of these old elevators. The wooden country elevator, once an important resource and center for grain farmers, is a vanished species. Should you want to visit an elevator from your childhood memories, you need to go to Inglis, Manitoba. Inglis has the last surviving elevator row in Manitoba with a total of 5 elevators. The old grain elevators that served as beacons on the prairie landscape are lost. They are just a memory of days gone by. For generations, our prairie farmers have produced wheat known around the world for its quality. Put that reliable Canadian flour to use with these delicious quick bread recipes and put a smile on the faces of your family. And she has two recipes. One's called orange dried fruit bread, and the other one is cheddar bread. So you'll have to go online to get those recipes. All right, Beautiful Plains School Division Superintendent educates us on Neepawa's next new school. Ooh, how exciting is that? By Owen Devereaux. If you felt as though the recent announcement of a new vocational school in Neepawa just came completely out of nowhere, Jason Young has something to relate. The Beautiful Plain School Division, or BPSD Superintendent, who recently sat down with Rain Pryor for an episode of Coffee Chat on NACTV, shared a few insights on the announcement made by the Manitoba government back in late March. The province released details on March 24th on plans for 9 new publicly funded, owned and operated schools to be constructed and operational by September of 2027. Neepawa was one of those 9 communities selected to get a new school. In his discussion with Pryor, Young indicated the school division had been pursuing another new school in the rapidly growing community for a considerable amount of time. He added that while the discussions with the province were positive, there had been no concrete commitments made. All of that unexpectedly changed on March 23rd. He said the formal announcement came on March 24th, and even the formal announcement kind of came, I'll say, as a bit of a surprise for us. We know this was in the works, but we weren't sure where it was in the order of importance. Then, on March 23rd, myself and the board chair, Richard Manns, got an email from the province asking us if we would come to Winnipeg the next morning for a major capital announcement. And March 24th was the day it was announced. The need for a new school has been in discussion locally since 2018. In fact, Young said as he and the school board chair walked through the not yet completed Neepawa Middle School at the time and talked about that next step. As for where the school will be located, Young said that an exact placement is still up in the air, though a few spots are being looked into. The process starts with the acquisition of property, and being that we're a public entity, we have to get provincial approval to buy or sell any type of land, stated Young. The school board has explored about 8 different sites in the surrounding area, and we've kind of got that down to the site we're hopeful for. We've requested permission from the province to proceed with the next steps of that purchase, and we received that approval in early May. So now what the process it looks like is we've engaged with the town of Neepawa about services and some of those things. Though there is one specific portion of land preferred right now by the school division, its location cannot be made public until a deal is officially in place. Young was able to share, however, that the province does suggest a minimum land amount of 15 acres for the site of the school. Our board would like us closer to 25 acres, and fair enough. You know, we want to make it so it's aesthetically pleasing. We don't want it to be crowded. We don't want congestion. And we want room to be able to expand there in the future if we need to, without impacting programming. So probably we will end up, as you know, in that area of approximately 20 acres. As for the building itself, Young estimates it could be in the neighborhood of 100,000 square feet. For a reference point, the middle school in Neepawa is 46,000 square feet. Holy. Wow, that's big. The complete interview with Young, which expands on the details of the new vocational school, will appear on NACTV on Friday, May the 19th at 6 p.m. and Saturday, May 20th at 7:30 p.m. So tune in for that if you're interested in hearing more. Rural Outlook. Here we have a great picture. Neepawa choirs entertained full crowd at the Knox. The double feature Neepawa and Area Community Choir and the Neepawa Choraleers concert was full of passion and fun on May the 10th. The concert was held in the Knox Presbyterian Church in Neepawa. The singers were greeted by an eager and full crowd with no seat appearing empty. Entry was via silver collection, with all proceeds set to be donated. These funds are soon to be distributed, with results and additional details to appear in a future edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. And here we have a picture of the Neepawa Choraleers, which is just a ladies group. Freedom Convoy documentary screens in Neepawa by Owen Devereaux. The Freedom Convoy made a stop in Neepawa over the weekend, albeit in film form. A showing of the feature-length documentary Unacceptable took place at the Roxy Theatre on Saturday, May 13th. The 2.5-hour film spotlights the 2022 Freedom Convoy protests in Ottawa and the people associated with it. The movie was able to be presented locally by the efforts of a group of citizens who rented the Roxy for a day with the desire of showcasing BC filmmaker Benjamin Hab's documentary. A large contingent of interested filmgoers from across the Westman region attended the pair of screenings. One of those in attendance was also one of the primary protagonists within the film, Tamara Litch. Litch, who was a prominent organizer involved in the protest in Ottawa, traveled to Neepawa to speak with attendees and thank them for their support of the film. In talking with the Banner and Press following the afternoon showing, Litch said no matter what your perspective is of the convoy and those involved, she hopes you'll view the film with an open mind. This is where we are now. We've become so polarized. You're either on this side or that side. You're right or left. It's black or white, said Litch. Well, agree or disagree, the convoy was a historic moment in Canada, and I think everyone should learn about it. All right, what's next? Ooh, big page here. A grand opening in every way for Neepawa-Gladstone Co-op Home Centre by Owen Devereaux. After about 3 years of planning and design, the Neepawa-Gladstone Co-op has officially unveiled its new and improved home centre. A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held on Thursday, May 11th for the $6 million facility upgrade, which is located on the west side of Highway number 5 heading north. A large group of interested customers came out for the event and to see with their own eyes the newly renovated and expanded space. Along with the extension of the main building, Home Centre features 15,000 square feet of additional storage for lumber and several new lines of product. As well, there is an expansion of space for Parkside Garden, the seasonal garden centre. The relocation of Chalet Floor and Window Fashions, which the cooperative purchased in 2019, has also now been completed with the opening of the new space. Neepawa-Gladstone Co-op General Manager Brian Headley, along with several department heads, cut the ribbon on the new look home centre. After the formal ceremony concluded, Headley told the Banner and Press that this has been a day everyone involved with the co-op has been looking forward to for quite some time. Headley noted that the inspiration for this venture began with a road trip out west. This has been in the planning for must be 2 or 3 years. When we started the planning, I had in mind a refresh with new paint and changing the shelving around. But Doug Fosty, our FCL Manager of Operations for Home and Building Supplies, said to me, "Brian, I'm going to take a few co-op general managers out west to see some new home centre ideas, and I'd like you to come along." So we traveled around provinces looking at not only co-ops, but all competitors' home centres. It occurred to me that we were in trouble. We were in no position to compete with stores like these if they were to come to Neepawa. We can't do a refresh. We have to do a complete renovation. Headley added with a chuckle that was likely Doug's plan from the get-go, to get him to see the need to think bigger and for the long term with this home centre plan. Neepawa-Gladstone Co-op President Jason Sumner was on hand representing the board of directors. In his prepared comments, he thanked Brian for having the foresight to push forward with the plan. He also lauded the employees of the co-op who were able to work around all the construction and expansion surrounding them and continue to provide outstanding service. As for the expansion of the store and its available services, Sumner said that such an ambitious undertaking just made sense. When you can look back at what we had in terms of the size of the store, it's almost hard to believe that we were able to do some of the things that we did in the smaller space, said Sumner. But with taking over Chalet, it just made sense to put everything under one roof and to put in a good size addition. From a feasibility standpoint, the community has certainly been growing and looks like it's probably going to continue to grow, and not just Neepawa, but the surrounding area. It's a big surrounding area that we want to be able to serve, so the expansion just made sense. Now, with this version of the Neepawa-Gladstone Home Centre completed, Hedley is confident in its ability to serve the region for years to come. He said that because it has been designed to be a big city shopping option close to home. There is consumer leakage outside of a community. It happens. People want to go to larger urban centers and look for ideas, but they want to shop local. They want these services within their own community, and this provides them that type of option. This is the type of variety and availability you'd expect from a community bigger than Neepawa. And we have a great picture here to celebrate the grand opening of the fully renovated home centre. A whole lineup of dignitaries cut the ribbon. From left to right are Mike Evenson, Building Materials Manager, Chris Jacobsen, Flooring Manager, General Manager Brian Hedley, Co-op Board Chair Jason Sumner, Hardware Manager Leighton Fraze, and Home Centre Division Manager Jason Hartle. And here's a picture of the new home centre. It has thousands of square feet of product for home, farm, garden, and the construction trades. And pictured above is the chalet home decor section and the flooring inventory. It's wonderful. It's great for our town. Okay, look at this beautiful picture. This photo was the grand prize winner in the Sunrise Credit Union's Our Manitoba photo contest recently. The photo, taken by our own Neepawa Jody Baker of Jody Baker Photography, is titled Sunflower Sunset and was taken in the rural municipality of North Cypress, Langford. Maybe that was in our backyard. Baker's prize was $500 termed deposit and a 16 by 24 inch canvas print of her photo, which will also be featured in the credit union's calendar for 2024. Isn't that beautiful? She is so talented. MFGA Grazing Mentors to support Manitoba Watershed District's rotational grazing BMPs, submitted by Manitoba Forage and Grassland Association. Manitoba farmers interested in the rotational grazing best management practices, or BMPs, within the Prairie Watersheds Climate Program, or PWCP, led by the Manitoba Association of Watershed Districts, or MAW, received great news this month. Manitoba Forage and Grassland Association, or MFGA, has provided MAW with a list of around 15 grazing experts located across the province for watershed districts, or MD, to connect farmers with grazing mentors and experts to help bring their PWCP aspirations forward around grazing plans and better understanding grazing practices and BMPs. MAW is pleased to announce the PWCP rotational grazing support available to watershed districts through MFGA, said Gary Wazalowski, MAW Board Chair. MFGA has been a strong partner within the Prairie Watersheds Climate Program, and we look forward to their services being available to support Manitoba's watershed districts in their delivery of the rotational grazing BMP. The MFGA grazing mentors all come from within the MFGA network, either board members or supporters. The group's grazing plan approach will be organized by Larry Wagner, MFGA board alumni. Watershed districts may use the provided MFGA mentors list to connect farmers with available mentors. MFGA mentor services to watershed districts may include services such as one-on-one mentorship, to answer entry-level questions, watershed district support for application review, as well as rotational grazing questions. The role of MFGA in providing grazing mentors is a great fit for us, and we thank PWCP leaders for the opportunity to show our leadership and mentoring abilities on a farmer-to-farmer basis, said Lawrence Knockhart, MFGA chair. Many of the leaders on our MFGA board and among our grazing mentors are leaders on grazing and regenerative agriculture practices and fully understand what needs to be discussed around grazing plans that help access some of the PWCP rotational grazing funding for farmers. The MFGA Grazing Mentor List will help watershed districts facilitate increased uptake of the rotational grazing BMPs of the PWCP and up to $40 million program led by MAW through Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada's On-Farm Climate Action Fund to producers in Manitoba and Saskatchewan to celebrate their adoption and implementation of on-farm beneficial management practices to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, support production efficiency, sustainability, and resiliency on their farm operations. The Prairie Watershed Climate Program through the On-Farm Climate Action Fund may fund producers for the adoption or expansion of planning and implementing grazing rotations in their operations. For rotational grazing, these include infrastructure to support the rotational grazing plan, $18,000 per quarter to a maximum of $75,000. Includes all eligible fencing and watering systems. Improving pasture compositions by seeding legumes such as alfalfa and sainfoin. $35 an acre up to $75,000. Creation of grazing management plan, 50% of cost of the plan up to $400. Funded practices must be the following: be new practices for an operation, be expanded from what has been practiced in prior years on new land or new acres than prior years, have a rotational grazing plan provided that supports the new practice, and provide a rotational grazing plan that is recommended by a licensed agrology professional with demonstrated competency in the agronomy practice area that may include the CCA designation. For more information, contact Duncan Morrison, MFGA Executive Director, 204-770-3548 or at duncan@mfga.net. Canadian Seeding Intentions for 2023 by Sean Kabak, Manitoba Agriculture. At the national level, farmers anticipate planting 27 million acres of wheat in 2023, up 6.2% from the previous year. Spring wheat acres up 7.5% to 19.4 million acres. Durum wheat area up 0.9% to 6.1 million acres. And winter wheat area up 12.7% to 1.5 million acres are all expected to increase. If realized, national wheat area would be the highest it has been in more than 2 decades. Manitoba farmers anticipate planting 3.2 million acres of wheat, up 3.3% from 1 year earlier. Canola is expected to edge up 0.9% to 21.6 million acres in 2023, roughly in line with the 5-year average. Farmers in Manitoba anticipate seeding 3.3 million acres of canola, down 0.9% from the previous year. Nationally, farmers anticipate planting 5.5 million acres of soybeans, up 4.5% from 2022. Manitoba is expected to lead the national increase in soybean acreage. Soybean area in the province is expected to rise 37.3% to 1.6 million acres, the highest area in the province since 2018. Nationwide barley acreage is expected to edge up 0.6% to 7.1 million acres in 2023. Barley area is expected to decrease in Manitoba, 14.4% to 362,700 acres, while it is expected to increase in Manitoba, 7.3% to 3.8 million acres. Oat area is expected to fall 22.4% to 3.1 million acres compared with 1 year earlier because of high oat stocks resulting from high production in 2022. At the national level, farmers expect to plant 3.7 million acres of grain corn, up 2.8% from 1 year earlier. Farmers across Canada expect to plant fewer acres of dry peas in 2023, with area anticipated to fall 4.6% to 3.2 million acres compared to last year. Sean Kabak is a livestock and forage extension specialist based out of Portage la Prairie. You can contact him at Sean, SHAWN Kabak, CABAK, at gov.mb.ca, or by phoning 204-239-3353. And also by Sean Kabak of Manitoba Agriculture, Gardening 101. If high inflation or shrinkflation that has caused food prices to soar has stretched your food budget, one way to combat this is by planting a garden. Living in the country, we always had a huge garden growing everything from potatoes to tomatoes, peas, cucumbers, corn, and more. As kids, we spent a lot of time planting, weeding, hoeing, hilling, and harvesting the vegetables grown. It was a lot of work, but very rewarding when we were able to enjoy the fruits and veggies of our labor. We were mostly self-sufficient in the vegetable department, eating a lot of healthy, fresh veggies in season, and canning, freezing, and storing all the surplus. Stores didn't have access to year-round fresh fruits and vegetables like today that are grown around the world and shipped on a truck, plane, or boat to your nearest supermarket. Some of what we eat today originates from halfway around the world or further. It's no wonder sometimes it tastes like cardboard. And what does all the shipping do for the environment? When I worked in the Ukraine, it was common to see backyards and front yards overflowing with with fruit trees and vegetables. Homeowners in the towns and villages grew most of what they ate and would sell the surplus along the roadside or at a local market. Now, I'm not proposing you work your entire front and backyard up, but even if you plant a corner of your yard to your favorite veggies, it is amazing what can be produced in a small area. We have a long growing season in Manitoba with some of the best soils in Canada. Why not visit a local garden center for some seed and plants and see how green your thumb can become? Now, here's a couple of old pictures. History with the Beautiful Plains Museum breaking new ground. This page features more agricultural scenes from the Manitoba's past, of which the Beautiful Plains Museum has a good collection. There were unfortunately no date or location details available for these photographs. However, if any readers has some they are welcome to email Casper at the Neepawa Banner and Press via newsroom at neepawapress.com. Here we have a picture of a Model D2 diesel Caterpillar accompanied by an unknown settler with Mr. Siemens and Mr. McAllister. And here they are breaking new land. Now on to the sports pages. A tremendous year for Neepawa minor hockey by Owen Devereaux. The 2022-23 season was full of big wins for the Neepawa Minor Hockey Association, or the NMHA, both on and off the ice. The organization held its annual general meeting on Monday, May 15th at the Yellowhead Hall and was able to provide some positive insights into the year that was for hockey on a local level. Outgoing NMHA President Jerry Chudley said in his report that there was some solid player participation numbers and parental involvement over the course of the year. The registrar's report confirmed Chudley's assessment, as it noted there were 125 players involved with minor hockey, a 5% increase from the previous year's figures. As well, Neepawa Minor Hockey reported a net income for the fiscal year ending May 15th of $5,619.75. Chudley said it was good to see the organization come out of the last few years of global uncertainty in such a financially positive position. Now that we're finally out of the COVID stage, things got a lot better this year. Memberships are up and we could see that continue this year. We're feeling pretty optimistic about minor hockey right now, stated Chudley. Chudley added that it was the hard work of all the parents and volunteers in terms of games, tournaments, programs, and fundraising that made the year a good one for everyone involved. With Jerry Chudley's tenure as president now at an end, Landon Cameron, who has served as the association's vice president for the past 2 years, will step into that position. Cameron said he's looking forward to keeping the momentum past presidents such as Jerry and Ryan Smith started moving in the right direction. Jerry did a great job and Ryan did a great job before him. So I'm just going to try and keep building off of that. Minor hockey is in a pretty good position and we're just looking to ensure it stays going in that direction. Hockey is the winter pinnacle sport in Neepawa for kids, and I think as well Neepawa Minor Hockey does a good job of making it accessible and inclusive for everyone. With Cameron taking over as board president, Jasmine Pounder will move into the vice president position. Other notable changes to the executive board include the additions of Anthony McCann, Jason Nadeau, and Carla Hakowicz. Ryan Smith and Andrea Smith, meanwhile, are stepping away from the executive this year. Some amendments to the Constitution were reviewed and voted upon during the AGM. One which was passed saw the official alteration of names to player categories to align with the designations defined by Hockey Canada, under 17 to under 18. Neepawa Minor Hockey has already been following that directive, but this change just officially recognizes it within the Constitution. As well, the names of all the minor hockey teams were officially changed. On ice, all the clubs had already shifted over from Natives and Hawks to Titans, but it still needed to be officially altered within the Constitution. If there are multiple teams in a specific age category, they will be differentiated by the last name of the head coach. For example, under 9 Neepawa Titans Smith, or under 12 Neepawa Titans Jones, something like that. All right, American Prospect commits to Neepawa Titans by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Titans have snagged another up-and-coming prospect in advance of the 2023-24 MJHL season. The Junior A Hockey Club confirmed the signing of forward Olin Andres of Grand Forks, North Dakota, on Wednesday, May the 10th. The 17-year-old spent last year with the Sioux Falls Power of the Tier 1 Elite Hockey League, where he had 7 goals and 12 assists. In a media release confirming the commitment, Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson lauded what Anders could bring to Neepawa's roster. Olin is an up-and-down winger that will finish checks and stick up for his teammates. He is an honest worker and will fit in nicely with our current forward group. After signing his letter of intent with the club, Andres expressed his excitement with joining the organization. He says, "I am excited to get started in Neepawa and meet everyone. The fans can expect me to play hard in both ends of the rink." His signing is the third commitment for Neepawa this month, as defenseman Sam Men of Minnesota and Brandon goaltender Casey Kokut have also committed to the team. Former Neepawa Titans defenseman Dean Noonan has committed to the Alvernia Golden Wolves for the 2023-24 season. The Golden Wolves are an NCAA Division III program in Reading, Pennsylvania, that compete in the Middle Atlantic Conference. The Titans confirmed Noonan's post-secondary commitment in a media release on May 16th. Head coach and general manager Ken Pearson congratulated Noonan and praised his contributions to the community of Neepawa both on and off the ice. Noonan, meanwhile, thanked the team, his billet family, and the community at large for the opportunities he received. When I arrived in Neepawa 2 years ago, I was a stranger to this town, its people, and the team. I gained lifelong friends and unforgettable memories. Thank you to my billets for their constant support and care. To Coach Ken, Coach Zach, and Derek, thank you for making me feel at home and for your mentorship. To my teammates, I cherish the moments we shared on and off the ice. Well, isn't that great? And another little article, a sports article. Prairie Mountain Machine win spring shootout. An elite level regional hockey club recently brought home gold from the North American Hockey Classic, NAHC. The Prairie Mountain Machine, a team made up of players from Neepawa, Manitoba, Rivers, Brandon, and other outlying communities, won the NAHC's 2014 AAA shootout. I'm sure that's supposed to say 2023. There were 3 players from Neepawa on the squad: Grayson Kalbaki, Noah Smith, and Jensen Cameron, who is pictured here. Congratulations to the players, coaches, parents, and other supporters of the Prairie Mountain Machine on their success. Alrighty, what else do we have here? Here we have MSEW workshops, well received and well worth the time, by Casper Werhan. Neepawa Tourism held its 11th Manitoba Service Excellence Workshop on May 15th, or known as MSEW. These workshops began in 2019 and are hosted twice annually in partnership with the Manitoba Tourism Education Council, MTEC. Held in spring and fall, save for during the COVID-19 pandemic, they cover a wide variety of topics and are provided for free for Neepawa Tourism members and to non-members for $20 per workshop. This MSEW discussed the impact customer service has on business, their team, and their customers, both positive and negative, said Barb Bone, volunteer with the Neepawa Tourism Activities and Training team. With customer expectations increasing and service decreasing, how businesses can gain the competitive edge by providing consistent, exceptional service. Facets of this included analyzing how a business stands out from the rest based on the service its team provides, awareness of current service expectations, the attitude put forward by a business team, customer first impressions, and more. Specific workshops have included cultural considerations in the workplace, respectful workplaces, team building, handling difficult situations, self-development and awareness, how to handle toxic behavior, motivating and giving feedback, managing mental health in the workplace, conflict resolution skills, and Manitoba service excellence, training to give your business a competitive edge. Each workshop was presented by a sponsored facilitator from the MTEC and was either a half-day or full-day program. Barb Bone said each workshop was well received and well worth the time to provide self-development on a personal level as well as the business level. Bone added, participants attending a full day of workshops also received lunch, beverages, and snacks throughout the day, sponsored by a local business. This is very economical for a full or half-day workshop in a relatively small town. Neepawa Tourism reports that workshops have had anywhere from 16 to 26 registrants, where 99% of those in attendance indicated that the workshops met their indications and that they would enroll in another workshop led by the MTEC. Bone extended a word of thanks on behalf of Neepawa Tourism, stating Neepawa Tourism is grateful for the support it receives from local businesses in registering staff and business owners and managers to the workshops. We are also especially grateful to our businesses that sponsor each event and to MTEC for providing a skilled facilitator to lead the workshops. Bone added, if you or your employer have not registered for a professional development workshop, please consider it. They are very interactive and extremely informative. The next workshop is being scheduled for either September or October. Here we have pictures of a Canadian fiddle champion that entertained recently at the Roxy Theatre. His name is Scott Woods, and his multi-talented band entertained at the Neepawa Roxy Theatre on May the 12th. Scott Woods was accompanied by band members Leo Stock, step dancing sensation, and multi-instrumentalist Kendra Norris, pictured here below beside Woods. It looks like she's playing an accordion. The concert was an old-fashioned hoedown full of family fun, fiddling, country music, step dancing, and humor. Now, here we have another article by Sean Kabak, Crop Talk, Fencing and Water webinar set for June. The Manitoba Agriculture Farm Production Team produces free weekly webinars, live and on demand. Department specialists and invited guests will speak on real-time agronomic topics such as insects, disease, weeds, weather, and more to assist growers and agronomists with the cropping season. Crop Talk is held weekly every Wednesday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. This year, the webinars started mid-April with the last one on October the 25th. All 2023 recorded webinars can be found on the Manitoba Agriculture YouTube channel. To register, go to www.gov.mb.ca/agriculture/online-resources/croptalk.html. Manitoba Agriculture will be holding 3 workshops within the province to deliver hands-on demonstrations on fencing and watering systems for your livestock needs. Workshops will take place in Dauphin on June 13th from 1 till 4, Inwood on June 14th from 9 till 12 noon, and Beausejour on June 14th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Presenters will provide a demonstration on electric fencing and discuss tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your fencing systems. Find out how the necessary components of a good watering system, how to troubleshoot, and how to maintain it. Watershed districts will discuss the Prairie Watersheds Climate Program, in which producers are eligible for funding for fencing and watering. Specialists will discuss the importance of grazing management strategies and moving away from continuous grazing to focusing on rest and recovery of the forage plants, as well as pasture rental costs, fencing cost calculator, and more. For more information, call Manitoba Agriculture in Dauphin at 204-648-3965 or go to www.gov.mb.ca/agriculture/livestock-index.html. And BWA issued for Yellowhead Regional Water System. The province of Manitoba has issued a boil water advisory for the Yellowhead Regional Water System on May 17th, beginning at 1 p.m. The boil water advisory was announced due to scheduled maintenance, which would cause loss of pressure within the Yellowhead Regional Distribution system. This depressurization can compromise the safety of water supply. The affected areas include the following: Municipality of North Norfolk, including Austin, McGregor, and the Manitoba Agricultural Museum. The Municipality of Westlake, Gladstone, including Gladstone, Westbourne, and Plumas. The Municipality of Glenella Lansdowne, excluding Arden. West Rock Colony Farms, Baker Colony Farms, Riverdale Colony Farms. Until further notice from the province, all water used for consumption should be brought to a rolling boil for at least 1 minute before it is used for purposes such as drinking and ice making, preparing beverages such as infant formula, preparing food including washing fruits and vegetables, and brushing your teeth. Boiling water is not necessary for uses such as laundry, but care should be taken to ensure water is not swallowed when showering or bathing. So that's May the 17th at 1 p.m. All right, so we'll go back, seeing we have just a little bit of time left. I'll read Rita Friesen's article, Homebodies. This week it's called Getting Down and Dirty. Gardening, folks, gardening. I was fortunate to spend a couple of hours with my youngest sister. She lives in Carman, and so on occasion we meet in Portage at a greenhouse. Several of her children also enjoy growing things, and so there were a few of us catching up and enjoying time together. One of the group has somewhere around 25 house plants, mostly foliage, and the young couple in the group are embracing growing foodstuffs. They began with a small patch in their backyard and have expanded their opportunities by renting a plot in the Carman Community Gardens, as has my sister, who also wants to grow more than her backyard allows. Always one to ask questions, I wanted to know more about their community garden. It is very impressive. Begun as an evangelical outreach by one of the local churches in 2018, they started with 24 plots. The group received $1,500 from a Healthy Living grant, and an individual contributed another $1,000. There are now nearly 80 plots. Someone donated a 1,250-gallon water tank, which the town staff fill twice a week. All the fees from rental go into improvements, so by now the gardens have a rabbit-proof, deer-proof, raccoon-proof fence all the way around. The garden shed is filled with everything one needs to garden. 3 sizes of rototillers, small, medium, and large, hoes, rakes, shovels, spade, and all provided by the sponsoring group and volunteers. We all know how challenging the isolation of the pandemic was for many folks. Well, the gardeners felt they had it aced. They were working outside with like-minded people, doing something they loved, growing food and sharing of the excess. I was impressed, and knowing the area well, the churches and the family names, I applaud the church that started this. We have a community here in Neepawa as well. I was not able to access an abundance of information about it online. There is mention of the gardens at the Salvation Army Community Service Center, and there is an older newspaper article about the gardens at the flats, mentioning that the care is in the hands of the gardeners. Anywhere one can get out and play in the dirt is a good place. I have been getting down and dirty as well. In the raised beds, the first radishes are showing, and our earliest potatoes are up as well. Wow. I have half a dozen tomatoes settled, and the 1 cucumber is leafing out. To be clear, I have water jackets for these, and therefore early are safe. The green peppers can be easily covered. This week, I cleaned out the raspberry patch and remembered why I had stopped growing them. They do look tidy once the task is completed, and we do love fresh raspberries, as do the great-grandchildren. The strawberries came through the winter well, as did the Saskatoon bushes, young apple trees, and grapevines. It's all looking wonderfully promising. I have concerns about planting in my front unfenced garden. The healthy jackrabbits show no fear of me, plural on the rabbits, heavy on the healthy. Okay, Disaster or Wake-Up Call by Neil Stroshine's Faithfully Yours article. The May 11th CNN town hall meeting with former U.S. President Donald Trump will go down in history as one of 2 things. Most of the so-called expert Ellenists who viewed the event are calling it a Class 1 Grade A disaster. But Chris Lick, CNN's network chief, and popular CNN host Anderson Cooper argued that the event should be seen as a wake-up call to American voters. They say Donald Trump is the clear front-runner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. His support base does not seem to have diminished. He could defeat Joe Biden in the November 2024 election and win a second term as U.S. president. Yikes. All this despite his ongoing legal battles, the most recent of which was a $5 million judgment against him for sexual assault. His claims that victory in the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him, all of which has been proven totally unfounded, and questions over what direct involvement, if any, he had in the January 6, 2021 riots on Capitol Hill. That investigation continues and probably will for some time to come. So why would CNN host this town hall meeting? Why would they give Trump a platform from which to spew his allegations of election fraud and viciously attack those who dare to confront his claims with facts that disapprove them? Why would they allow him to accuse those who are investigating his financial dealings and moral failures of being part of a conspiracy to keep him from winning a second term as president? What would CNN possibly have hoped to achieve by doing this? I cannot answer those questions. I did not watch excuse me. I did not watch the town hall meeting, so I am not qualified to offer an opinion on how the meeting was handled or what comments were made by those in attendance. But I can offer an opinion on the meeting's value. Let me state clearly that I do not believe that victory in the 2020 presidential election was stolen from Donald Trump. No election in the recent history of the United States has been investigated as thoroughly as that one, And the facts tested and upheld in the courts prove that Joe Biden won and that Trump lost. Nor do I believe that investigations by the state of New York into Trump's financial dealings, the sexual assault case which he recently lost, and any other inquiries into Trump's activities are part of a conspiracy against him. Trump is learning a lesson we all need to learn. No person is above the law. Eventually, lawbreakers will be caught, and they will pay the penalties society demands for their actions. That being said, I do not believe that CNN's decision to host the May 11th town hall with Trump was a mistake. Although I, like most other Americans, strongly disagree with Trump's political, moral, and social views, I agree with Lake and Cooper's argument that the American people have kept silent for far too long and that they must help their representatives define the type of country they want to leave to their children. What America needs in the days leading up to November 2024 is an open debate on the political, social, economic, moral, and religious issues of the day. All views on these topics need to be expressed. All views need to be evaluated on their own merits, and the people by their votes must be allowed to decide which views they support. The same debate is needed in Manitoba and in Canada. More on that next week. So I think I have just enough time for our last article by Ken Waddell, entitled Foundational Truths. I'm glad to see that the world is catching up with where my family has been at for decades. I hear a lot about equality and inclusion and a bunch of other 21st century buzzwords. Just about every new verbal invention that comes up has some resonance with family values that have been part of our existence for generations. In the 1950s, where my earliest childhood memories were formed in my home community, it was considered okay by some to dislike the Catholics. Not in our house. They were our friends, our neighbors, and in some cases our customers. Back in those days, travel by our family and many others was limited, so crossing paths with First Nations people was rare. The nearest First Nation was several miles away and in a direction we didn't often travel. When we did cross paths, my father taught me to be respectful and to engage in conversation. Seeing I was pretty shy, hard to believe, I know, the conversations were limited, but there was never exclusion. By the time I was 16, I think I saw an African American once and from a distance at a ball tournament when a traveling tournament team from the U.S. played in a town several miles away. Today, a lot of hyperventilated talk about inclusion is highly sexualized. Sad it happens that way. Sexual activity and the attention it gets is highly overrated. I have my opinion, and others are, of course, entitled to theirs. In my world, sexual activity means an intimate and long-term relationship between a man and a woman. Obviously, a lot of people won't agree, but as I said above, people are entitled to their opinions. Following closely behind any discussion on sex comes to the gender definition. I believe there are two genders, male and female. Some hold a different view. On a personal basis, gender or how many definitions there are don't matter to me, as I wasn't planning to have a sexual relationship with anyone except my wife anyway. Nothing raises people's hackles as much as a discussion about sexual activities. That came to the forefront last week in Brandon as a group of people want some books taken out of the school curriculum. I haven't read the books in question, but from what I have seen described, I sympathize with the concerns. There has long been an argument about sex ed books and about certain books that are taught in English classes. The problem with banning books is, where do you start and where do you end? There's a lot of material that is considered bad by some and not by others. Bibles are almost gone from public schools when they used to be a mainstay. If people insist on banning books, they can almost be certain the list will be a long one. Banning books won't likely end well. But that said, I know personally of two people who were emotionally badly sidetracked. One was by a book in the 60s and one by a movie in the 80s. The point is that while we are influenced by movies, TV, and books, it's important to make sure we are well grounded. While many people would argue the point that grounding comes from God and it is to God we must turn, that has to be our priority. It's the foundational message of AA, of service clubs, and most churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples. I guess all those groups could be wrong, but I somehow doubt it. And his disclaimer at the end, the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as being part of the Banner and Press staff. There. So that's it for this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. Hopefully we will see you another time, so bye for now.